Hi. Well, with the rivers probably still a bit high and the wind nowhere near as bad as it has been, but still pretty blustery. Today I decided to come for a walk again rather than go fishing, and I'm at what I called the clay pit, which I fished a couple of times last year. I didn't get a bite on either occasion, so I didn't do too well. Today I'm going to walk all the way around the pit. I couldn't do that last time because I was suffering a bit and my range was limited, but I'm going to have a look all the way around it. I was hoping I might bump into the guy who I think is one of the sort of maintenance guys who looks after the pit, and probably a bailiff, to see if I could get some tips from him, because I was singularly unsuccessful when I came here last time. But anyway, as I say, I didn't catch anything last time, and it's February now, and I never do that well on lakes in the winter, so I guessed I wouldn't do that well today, so I've just come for a walk. So let's go and have a look around. On this bank there are some interesting little spots, because you're in a heavily treed area, and they've built fishing platforms out into the lake, which are quite nicely done actually. And before I fished the lake last year, quite a few years before I'd come over here, before they'd created much of this these platforms, and I did catch a few small roach and rudd, but as I say, last year I completely blanked. I fished it in, I think it was April and May, and although the conditions looked good, I didn't do very well. So as I say, they've got these lovely platforms, very secluded. Sun right in our face at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, it's quite a popular place for some carp anglers, I think, but not at the moment. And it's also very popular with the with the bird life, as you can see. Yeah. I can't actually see what I'm filming at the moment because the sun is so bright. It's very difficult. So perhaps we'll move on and get out of this direct sun. Looks quite a good spot, this actually. Worth a try. In the summer there's probably going to be a few lilies as well added to the scene. So we'll carry on having a look around. I think this is probably the spot I fished when I came quite a few years ago, not last year. Yeah, it looks familiar. As I say, they're quite good swims because you're so secluded. You know, it's not like a commercial where you've got people every 10 yards. Obviously, this is big enough to take a few anglers, 2 or 3 perhaps, but you're certainly in a very secluded spot. I understand this was an old clay pit which was excavated quite a long time ago now to provide clay to build some of the drains or dikes in the area. I assume that's why there's like channels rather than one big open water. You've got these channels with reed beds. And as I say, plenty of bird life. Right, I've walked the length of one bank now, and this is only the third, I say the third swim. This is looking like it's leading to more than one swim, but this is only the third spot I've been able to access the lake. As you can see, the bank is heavily overgrown, plenty of trees, but this looks like an interesting end, doesn't it, with all the sort of flotsam up against the reeds. Yeah. It's certainly a lovely looking lake, but as I say, I didn't get a bite when I fished here last year. I know it produces good tench, and I know it's been stocked with carp, and there is a carp syndicate. Obviously you need to sort of stay clear of the carp buoys when they're installed. They get a bit touchy, but it's fascinating really. Let's have a walk along this bar. It just seems so fishy. That's why I was so surprised that I couldn't manage to even get a bite the last couple of times. I was hoping to try it last summer, but unfortunately, due to problems I had with my hip, I didn't really get out in the summer, so I'm going to try it this summer, certainly. You can see over there, that's the spot we were looking at before I walked round. Yeah, it's fascinating because you've got these channels. Obviously you've got sort of shrubs and reeds growing out there, so there's obviously shallower banks and then deeper channels. Yeah. I haven't seen any fish. Well, that's not surprising. Well, here's another bar where we can walk out. I think this end of the lake is probably the most popular with the carp anglers, but from a non-carp perspective, I rather like the look of these little sort of inlets. Look very, very appealing. But obviously the idea is you fish on the end there rather than on the path leading up to the end. But yeah. Yeah, I really like bays like this. I always find them very, very inviting. This position here gives you the best overall view of the lake. As I say, we've passed very few fishable spots, having walked two sides of it. But as we go down the next two sides, it's much more open and there are more fishable positions. I fished on the far side from here last time. Unsuccessfully. You may just be able to see the train in the distance there, just disappeared. This lake is very much a community facility. It's not just for fishing, and they've spent quite a lot of money. There's otter fencing all the way around it as well to try and protect the fish, and people, obviously, there's a lot of people walk around the lake, not today perhaps, but in the summer. And as you can see over here, there's facilities for families to picnic and what have you. So it's very much a community facility, as well as being somewhere to fish. These are also quite fascinating. They're little enclosed lagoons that they've formed. I don't know if this is perhaps for children to fish, but as you can see, there's a sort of path being created all the way along the side of the lagoon, and it's a small enclosed area, which I assume means the fish that are in there are also enclosed. So I'm not sure what they offer fish-wise. Here's another lagoon. They look quite inviting, really, but as I say, I don't know what sort of fish have been presumably stocked in them, or whether there is in the reeds over there sort of openings that we can't see that allow the fish to migrate in and out. This is the bank I fished last year, very, very deep, and lots of like silkweed on the bottom, which caused me many problems. This is one of the spots I fished last year as well. it's quite fascinating. As I walked down to this spot, the geese all made a hasty getaway, whereas the two swans came immediately towards me. I would think they're quite used to being fed on this lake, so it's one of the problems. I was surrounded by birds last time I was here, so but that's not a bad thing really. Swans can be a bit of a nuisance. but as I say, the geese all sort of went away when I arrived down here. They make a nice picture out there, all those geese. I assume they've arrived, I think I'm not sure if they're Canada geese or what they call grey-lag geese, but they probably arrive for breeding, I suppose. They're out all on those little sort of islands. I suppose there's quite a few safe spots out in this lake for them to breed and to lay eggs. And these little reed beds and little sort of shrubs or small trees going out there. Yeah, it's certainly a birdlife sanctuary. Anyway, we've sort of done the tour now of the lake. Not a great number of spots to fish really, but fortunately it doesn't get very busy, or not when I've been here, it hasn't been. And unfortunately I didn't meet the bailiff, or the sort of lake keeper as I call him, so I haven't been able to pick up any more tips. But so that's about it really. A lovely walk around the lake on a bright February day. Probably more fruitful than trying to fish today. But yeah, so hope you found it interesting as usual. And sort of the point while we're watching the birds to say bye for now, and let's hope the next time I'm out I'll do some fishing. Cheers.